a greater or lesser extent, good evening and welcome to QI, where tonight my companions and I are plunging into the jungle, and helping me swing my machete are the king of the jungle, Greg Proops. The king of the swingers, Reginald D. Hunter. A jungle VIP, David O'Doherty. And a bit of an animal, Alan Davies. Well, before we begin, we ought to hear your beastly buzzers. Reginald goes... David goes. Greg goes. And Alan goes. All creatures in the jungle have equal value. So, first question, where will the lion sleep tonight?
No. Is this going to be a trip where they don't sleep in the night?
Where they don't sleep in the jungle?
You're right.
Man, I am nailing this game.
Because, of course, there is a famous song in the jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. A Wimberway.
By Tight Fit.
But by all kinds of people, actually.
Mainly Tight Fit.
But what you managed to avoid was falling into the trap that lions sleep in the jungle, because where do lions live?
Office buildings.
I was going to say Luton. I don't know why.
Oh, don't they live in, like, the veldt or something like that? Or...
The savannah. It's dry. It's certainly not jungle. You wouldn't get a lion there. And also, quite rightly, one of you said they don't sleep at night. Actually, they do sleep a bit at night, but most of their waking hours are at night. They sleep a hell of a lot, because they're cats. And what do cats do?
Sleep in the jungle, or forest.
They do a lot of sleeping.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. They basically let big animals spend 23 hours a day eating grass, and then they kill them and eat them and get all that nutrient that lasts them for a week.
So instead of eating vegetables, you eat something that does eat vegetables.
Exactly right. That's true.
I feel better about my diet now.
Yeah, about that. But the song, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, was the most popular song ever to come out of Africa. It was written by a man called Solomon Linda. He and the Evening Birds, as the band were called, recorded a song called Mbube, which is the Zulu word for lion. And they chanted, Mbube uyui mbumbe, lion, you're a lion. And he was paid the princely sum of £1. No more than that. In 1949, Pete Seeger gave it to the Weavers. They made a huge hit out of it. And then it just carried on being a hit, and all kinds of people liked Tight Fit.
Tight Fit.
But, more importantly, perhaps...
Well, better than Loose Fit for a band, I suppose.
Disney, in 1994, incorporated it into...
The Lion King.
In The Lion King. Now, it's estimated that if Solomon
I'll get
Linda...
Points. I'll get points for that.
Will you?
Yeah.
For knowing The Lion King?
Yeah.
If Solomon Linda had been paid standard composer royalties, he would have earned, just from the Broadway version...
£2.
Just from the Broadway version alone...
£3.
$5 million.
Ah!
Just in 5 years. That's just 5 years ago.
I got a question now.
Yeah.
The pound that he earned, who paid him that? Was it somebody British?
No, someone South African, I fear.
So what were them people doing with y'all money?
It's a good and fair question. It's not the first time that musicians, artists, composers have been exploited, but it is a pretty extreme example of it.
Just from the song being used in The Lion King, the musical on Broadway,
yes, just
he'd have made $5 million.
Yes, that shows you how much Elton John makes.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Elton John and Tim
Rice is always grinning.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of money in musicals. It is staggering, isn't it? But fortunately, there was some good that came out of it, because a South African journalist called Rian Milan brought the case to international notice, and Solomon Linda's family sued and came to a settlement. So the heirs of Solomon Linda have at least benefited from it, which is a good story.
That's good. That's
Isn't
good.
it?
Nice to see that, you know, natives wasn't exploited again. That's a good story there. If I
And
was,
yet-
I would tell that
And
story
yet we
too.
opened by saying that the whole thing was predicated on a black lie.
Yeah. In
Lions
the jungle,
do not
the mighty
sleep in the jungle.
The lion sleeps tonight. Doesn't sleep at night, doesn't sleep in the jungle. He's lucky to get £1 for it, if you ask me.
Anyway, so that's it. Now, what would be the best way for Tarzan to get around the jungle?
Well...
Without a family, I would guess.
Without being tied down.
Is that Johnny Weissmuller?
That's Johnny Weissmuller, who made his
German
name as an
Olympic
Olympic swimmer. That's right.
And that Marina Sullivan, then?
Yeah, it's Maureen O'Sullivan. Was the boy just called Boy?
Boy,
Yes,
yeah.
he was. The boy was called Boy, and the chimpanzee was called
Cheetah.
Cheetah, yes.
He gets around by swimming and swinging on... What does he swing on, Greg?
Vines.
Oh, Alan, you wicked. That was diabolical.
I feel really good tonight. I think I finally nailed this game.
I didn't know you were going to use your Jedi powers on me, Davis. I come in here with every good intention, and the next thing I know, I'm providing answers to you.
Tarzan in the movies does appear to swing on vines, or lianas as they're called, but it's impossible to do so because they grow from roots in the ground. So if you try to swing, you just fall straight down. You might get some that are twisted into the branches, but no animal or ape conveys themselves.
What about
by
when you see,
swinging on vines.
gibbons and whatnot flinging through the jungle?
Ah, no, that's a very different kind of action, which is recreation. Using their arms to move along. And gibbons do that and are excellent at it, and as you can see,
kittens.
there you are. Yeah.
Orangutan.
You're in a competitive mood.
I'd like to say that Alan is Tarzan's chimp because cheetahs never prosper.
Hey, very good. But Edgar Rice Burroughs, who created Tarzan, of course, he said he leaps through the trees unaided. He could drop 20 feet at a stretch from limb to limb in rapid descent to the ground, or he could gain the utmost pinnacle of the loftiest tropical giant with ease and the swiftness of a squirrel. And also, why would it be a vine in the middle of the jungle? Because a vine is...
Grapes grow on
Exactly.
vines.
But, it's in the manner of grapevines. Now, as legend has it, Tarzan, the reason he used the vine was not because of its strength or, the fact that it came up out of the ground. Was more so because early on when he heard about his girlfriend cheating on him, he heard it via one of those vines. A lot of people don't know that. I would say fewer than a handful, really.
Was it his friend Marvin who told him that by any chance?
You know the story, too?
I know this.
That's why they let you off the show. You smart.
Yeah, I know.
Why is, if you've got a vine, and why is wine based on the Latin for vine? When we have a vine, wine and vine, shouldn't they be this? Why isn't wine called vine?
When I was taught Latin, we were taught to pronounce the V as a W. So it would be Weni, Weedy, Weeki. I came, I saw, I conquered, is what,
Really?
what Caesar said, or Kaiser said, yeah.
Is Kaiser in German from Caesar?
Caesar,
then?
yes, it is, as is Tsar.
So you learn something every day.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you anymore. The more you say vine, the less I'm going to say vine.
But the Germans say vine and spell it with a W.
So why is it called a Caesar salad then?
It was invented by someone called Caesar. I've had a bottle of Caesar salad where it's on the label and the man who invented it's on
Points to Alan Davis.
Yes.
It was, in fact, a cook called Caesar Cardini.
the label. Yeah.
Well done, Alan.
Well, I read it on
Damn,
the
you're
label.
doing well.
Wow, yeah.
Wow, it's interesting that the two people who be on this show every week doing the best.
You've got time to catch up with them, don't you worry.
I just hope for a chance.
Oh,
man.
yeah,
I hope for a chance.
the questions coming your
All
way
right,
that will
then.
thrill you. OK, so what do you think these monkeys are called? They're two different species.
Is one a bonobo?
No, bonobos look more like chimpanzees.
Aren't they the horniest animals on
Yes.
Earth as well?
Anything you put in front of a bonobo, it will shag. It honestly doesn't matter. They are the most sexually, absolutely... I mean, they...
Even Russell Grant.
Bonobos really... Actually, lions, too. I mean, when lionesses are at it, they will shag up to 50 times a day. I mean, it's a 10-second business with the lions. But also, the lions shag each other. About 8% of all lion sex is gay. So
8% of lion sex is gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you get that, like, out of a book of lion facts? Or did you get that from a gay man?
I know there are a lot of people who would have us believe that only mankind is gay. In fact, there are, the latest count, about, I believe, 642 species of animal that exhibit homosexual activity. But do you know there's only one species that exhibits homophobia? And that's mankind. So who's natural?
I thought you were going to say elephants then. I really hope.
I
don't know what Mardi Gras. It'll be great.
How did they come up with the figure 8%, though? That's a lot of research.
It is, isn't it? It's,
I mean, I saw The Lion King, and I didn't see any of that going on. But I did feel the love.
You felt that night.
Yeah.
The circle of life has a whole new meaning.
It certainly does.
The red-faced one needed some factor 50 before.
Yeah.
It certainly does. I can tell you they come from completely different parts of the world. What's the most noticeable thing about the one on the left?
Its nose.
Its nose. It's a huge nose. Can you think of another word for a nose, a rather technical word?
I can, but...
Wait.
Proboscis monkey?
Is the right answer. That's a proboscis monkey. There it is. The males have the longest noses, often going below their chin, they're so long, and the females find that very, very attractive. There we are. It's an unusual look, I grant you.
It's a flaccid penis, that's what that is. A human could not get its hair like that without a hairbrush or a comb.
A lot of product.
I mean, that's remarkable, isn't it?
It is very impressive.
It's a very 1950s kind of a vibe.
It is. It's quite rockabilly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they're charming animals, and they live mostly in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. But what about the red-faced one? Where might that come from?
That one's called a cabeza rojo. That would be in Spanish, which not a lot of people know here.
Why would it have a Spanish name?
Because it's from South America.
It's the right answer. But in fact, the first one, the proboscis monkey...
Coming up on a point, Alan.
The first one, the proboscis monkey, is called orang balanda. Now, orang means man, and orangutan is man of the jungle. But this is basically, the big-nosed one is their word for Dutchmen, who were their colonists. And they thought those monkeys looked like the colonial masters. And so they call them Dutchmen, basically. And this one is even sadder.
So rude.
Yeah, I know. This one is the Wakari monkey, which is South American, comes from the Peruvian Amazon, and is very red-faced and is known by the locals, unfortunately, as English monkeys, because they look like tourists from England. Slightly bald and red-faced.
If you give them a towel, will they fight Germans for space in the pool?
Are you people all that hairy when you take your shirts off?
Oh, definitely, absolutely. It's a sweet, charming, very human face, isn't it?
Yeah, but in a perpetual state of embarrassment.
Yes. Well,
I thought at first it just was its bum,
yeah.
and yet it weirdly had a bum that looked a bit like a face.
But anyway, that's the Wakari monkey. Rather beautiful creature in its own way. Unfortunately, when they get to zoos, they're very lethargic and unhappy. But they're very active and very sociable in the wild.
I get quite lethargic in zoos.
Yeah, I know. A robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage, as William Blake said.
Also,
Anyway.
the ice cream is very expensive in zoos, so that's another depressing aspect.
There's that too. Anyway, why don't ginger ants use soap?
Because they like to feel it when they get together.
Well, getting together is what it's all about. Ginger ants, also known as fire ants, live in the jungle. In jungles, sometimes you can get huge downpours that will suddenly cause gigantic rivers to appear where none were before. And what's to stop the ants drowning? What's their strategy to keep themselves afloat?
Find a bar of soap.
No, the soap is the bad thing.
They don't want that.
They don't want the soap. Let's say no to soap.
No soap there. All right, then.
Well, I'd assume they'd climb a tree.
if they could, they would, and we're going to see them climb a tree, but first they have to cross the water if they're suddenly deluged.
Do they sail on little rafts?
They make a raft of themselves.
No.
They cling together, all their little bits, like this, and they make a raft like that. Even carrying their eggs and their precious cargo. That's the fish underneath having a nibble at them, but they are... and then they're getting towards a tree, and they're going to try and climb that tree, because then they'll be safe. But it's a really smart strategy. There they go. He's got the first one's up, and then all the other ones are following. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
And they all survive.
Even the ones on the bottom.
Yeah. What happens is that none of the ants become submerged because of the plastron layer of air between their bodies and the water. And that's from piastrone, Italian from breastplate, which is rather pleasing. A turtle's underbelly is also called a plastron, and so is a man's stiff, formal shirt front. So you can actually have... Yeah, it was a relief, wasn't it? You can actually have 500,000 fire ants collecting together in this way, and they can assemble themselves in less than 100 seconds. And they can float for days, even weeks, and migrate immense distances. Isn't that interesting?
That's how I came over from Dublin this morning.
But if you put a tiny drop of soap anywhere near it, the detergent would break the surface tension and they would drown. But I've got an interesting experiment, and I do love, as you know, to do an interesting experiment.
He does love an experiment.
These will represent red ants. This is just... I just find this magical. And it's something you can do at home, ladies and gentlemen. This is what's fun about it. And,
Will we form an island and swim across the jar of water?
No, this is red-coloured sand, and it's floating on the top. You'll notice wherever I drop it, it tends to start clinging together. So you've got... Here's your little raft of red ants. Ooh, there they are, in the water. And I can put my finger in it like that, and my finger will come out completely dry. Absolutely dry.
Bizarre.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there you are. There you are. And I've got no sand on my finger at all. And it just... but...
Are you a devil?
Watch this. This will excite you. I'm going to pour all this in here.
Blue ants are attacking red ants.
Goodness.
Yeah, all these blue ants here. It's just horrible. And look at that. It's all clustered down below. But this is the magic part. I get my spoon, and I get all this sand that's underwater now, and I just pick up a little bit of it like so, and it's completely dry.
No way!
It's utterly dry.
Witchcraft!
Sorcery!
Burn him!
It's completely dry.
Witch!
There it is, look. There it is. Sand, absolutely dry, even though there are drops of water next to it. Isn't that magical?
That really
That's
is.
just sand and water?
Well, I can tell you, it's the special nature of the sand. It's been, as it were, coated. And without wishing to give away the name of a brand of spray that you are encouraged when you buy suede shoes to use to protect your suede shoes that might be called something that rhymed with Gotch-scarred. If you wanted to try this experiment at home, you would get a can of that Gotch-scarred and spray the sand with it, and you will be able to amaze your friends, if, but only if, you're as sad as I am. But there you are. Hooray! The fun you can have with things.
It is.
It's nice. It's good.
Very fun.
Exactly. Well, anyway, what goes at 40 miles an hour and smells of curry? Yay.
Usain Bolty.
I have to say that's impressive. I have to give you points for that. It's just too good. I will give you this clue. An astonishing number of animals in the wild smell of other things. And there is an animal that smells of curry. And there's no reason for it to, because it doesn't live in India, it doesn't eat chilies.
But 40 miles an hour is pretty quick.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
the fastest of its species, and it's a signature species for a whole nation, a whole continent.
The ostrich goes about 40 miles an hour.
It does, but this is not a bird.
Kangaroo.
Yes. It's the western grey kangaroo, the fastest of all the kangaroos. And amazingly...
It smells of curry. Oh, jeez, it smells of a curry. Smell that, mate. That's just an Australian who's had a curry the night before, done a particularly stinky fart, and then tried to blame it on a passing kangaroo. That kangaroo, did you see that kangaroo go by there? Jeez, what a stink. It's like a curry.
Anyway, that's one animal that smells unusual. You're not going to get this next one because it's such an unusual animal, but it's rather pleasing to think that the binturong smells like a freshly made batch of popcorn. It's also called a bear cat, but it's actually more like a civet than either a bear or a cat. But apparently it smells of freshly baked popcorn. Isn't that a lovely thing for an animal to smell
Is
of?
it slightly overpriced?
And
It's a medium one, almost exactly the same price as a large one.
And does it smell like salted or sugar popcorn?
Ah, now there's a good question.
Yeah.
Their birth is apparently fascinating because originally they're just in a tiny, tiny egg, and then on a very hot day, suddenly just pop into the air.
I'm going to show you another animal. It's a common blue butterfly, but has been described by the famous naturalist, Geoffrey Grigson, as having a particular smell.
Finger of fudge.
Yes!
What? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I mean, I've got to accept that because the answer is chocolate. Wow. That is amazing. How does he do it?
Yeah, you two have developed some bizarre understanding where...
Yeah, man, how does a man be on this show every week come up with all the answers? I don't know.
He's having a spurt. like an adolescent having a growth spurt. He's having a brain spurt. It's very impressive. See? Sorry.
It's my father.
Sorry. Talking about him having a spurt is not what I meant to be doing.
The chocolate is ground-up butterflies.
Well, no. It just so happens that that species, according to Geoffrey Grigson, smells of chocolate. Well, there you are. I'm staggered by Alan's knowledge here. Now, as long as we're in the jungle, let's have a dubious jungle theory.
A dubious theory from Stephen Fry.
Ah, dear. At least 10% of the Amazonian rainforest was deliberately created by human activity over a period of 1,500 years, more than 1,000 years ago. It's an enormous orchard, twice the area of Great Britain. Dubious or not, look at the evidence on jungleschmungle.co.uk and decide for yourself.
A dubious theory from Stephen Fry.
This is a genuine theory. Can you understand that the idea that the Amazon, that we think of as the wildest place on Earth, might actually have been... A lot of it might be
Is
the...
there a large part of it, then, that bears fruit that we would consume?
Not only that, there is real evidence that a large part, certainly not the majority, but a large part of it is composed of soil that is of human origin, called terra preta, which is black earth in Portuguese. It contains charcoal, bone, manure and pottery and can only be humanly produced as a soil for growing. It was created deliberately over 1,500 years, rich in nutrients that last thousands of years. BBC 4 made a programme about it called Unnatural Histories, arguing that an advanced civilization of 5 to 6 million people flourished along the Amazon in the 1540s, and then diseases brought by the Spanish, such as smallpox and flu, wiped out up to 95% of the population. And by the 18th century, the rainforest was empty. They left no buildings, only the soil behind. It's an extraordinary thought, isn't it?
And they left amazon.co.uk.
They did give us that, thank goodness.
They say in North America as well, they always lowball the amount of Indians who were there.
Yeah.
But the point is, after the Spanish came the first time, because they traveled with their pigs, they had every manner of pig-borne disease. And when they came back 100 years later, they had wiped, everyone was dead.
Yes.
There was maybe a quarter of the population that there had been. So I don't think it's strange at all that that would have happened. And because they didn't leave buildings, we don't, give them any credit.
Exactly.
Except that they left an enormous forest, which makes the planet breathe.
I know, and indeed developed a type of soil that is still amongst the most fertile and useful sort of soil there is on Earth. It is remarkable. Not amusing, but true. Rather like my bottom. I don't know how that
So you
happened.
saying true, like your bottom will always be there.
Yeah,
like it's true. Your bottom is true.
It is a bottom of truth.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, then.
absolutely.
All right, man.
It's the
That's
measure-
a bold statement to make about yourself on national TV.
the measure-
Very impressive. Very impressive.
It's the measure of bottoms. It's
Yeah.
the first bottom, and other bottoms are compared always to that
That's
bottom.
right.
That's why it's known as the true bottom.
Yeah.
That was
Or the arse of verity.
Very fertile.
Whoa. OK. Let's just move away.
You started it.
From that. I did. I just painted myself into a corner. I don't know how I managed that. All right, so moving on. Describe the world's most hideous lunch.
There's a pretty rotten fruit you can get in Indonesia that stinks.
Well, the durian fruit you're
Yes.
thinking of, yes. It's actually delicious, but...
Smells like rotting flesh.
Yeah. This is actually an animal thing. It's just one of those cruel tricks of nature, you know, that certain species find ways of eating other species that are cunning and cruel.
There's not going to be a burrowing parasite thing,
Well,
is it?
it's sort of...
In your Jap's eye.
Oh,
Or in your eye, even.
We think of a little innocent frog. A frog sees a larva, a little bug of some kind. It will dart its tongue out. There you go. There's the big frog and there's the little larva. And the frog's going to win. The frog's going to poke its tongue out and it's going to eat.
It's not that small a larva.
I agree.
I still think that's quite an ambitious meal for that frog to take.
One of two things happens. One is the larva will simply attack the frog, latch itself with its quite strong horns, which you might just be able to discern in the picture.
That's what I would do.
Onto the back.
I would do
and
that.
then just eat it from the inside out.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do.
Until there's nothing left in a few hours but a pile of bones. It would just simply... eat the
Really?
whole thing.
One larvae?
Yeah, but if it so happens the frog is really quick and gets the larvae into its stomach, it will then, an hour later, regurgitate it, and the larva will still be alive and will then eat.
Holy
So
cow.
it will be eaten and then eat the thing that ate it, which is pretty unusual in the world of nature.
So you can have your frog and eat it?
You can. It's a pretty unpleasant process. It makes you wonder about all things bright and beautiful.
But we have no footage. Do we have footage?
We have footage, I'm afraid.
Don't eat that larva.
No. Oh, 2 hours later.
I don't feel so good.
Having a vomit, and out it's pulling out of its own mouth the thing that is then going to eat it. It's just so, and it's just being eaten. It's eating its chin. It's basically just...
he was a prince as well.
I know. It's really not a nice relationship. And there they are. Poor
Wait a
frog.
minute. I didn't see the end. Who won? It looked pretty intense, but it looked like it could go either way, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
To be honest, we were too tasteful to show you the outcome. It was
too
horrible.
tasteful. That's
They
what y'all...
shake hands and they say, well, we both learned a valuable lesson.
It's called the Apomis beetle larva, and about 10% of predator-prey relationships are where a smaller animal can eat a bigger one. But those are all active attacks. This is the luring technique. It actually waves and says, eat me, eat me. It actually draws attention to itself so that the frog approaches it and eats it.
Did you know that 8% of predator-prey relationships are homosexual? A lot of people don't know that.
But while on the subject of frogs, what's this little frog doing? What's this chap up to?
Wow. It's practicing first position?
What's going on in the background?
He's trying to build up his nerve and to jump into that gushing stream.
No,
He's
but
just going, I can do this.
He's facing the other
I
way.
can do this.
Is he fishing? Is he catching things
No.
in his web?
I was thinking maybe there was a plane load of frogs trying to land. Well, you know, air traffic controller frog.
Air traffic control frog. What is it about the background?
Running water, water stream, water flowing.
What does that create? If you've got a waterfall behind you, how do you communicate with your neighbour? How do you shout?
Sign language.
Yes.
No.
Semaphore.
Really?
It's the semaphore frog, because it lives by waterfalls and cataracts, and so little won't get heard. So that's how it communicates. Basically, it's saying to other males, this is my territory, keep away, or it's saying to girls, here I am. Unless it's 8%, of course. It is a wonderful sight. It solved the problem of the fact that it can't vocalise because it lives in a noisy environment. There are other ways of attracting mates which are unusual. Yes?
The internet.
If only you'd said what you often call the internet. What do you sometimes call it?
The interweb.
Yes.
Web spiders.
Spiders, yeah.
Spiders make webs to catch prey so they can eat, survive,
yes,
and thrive.
But there's a particular breed of spider. They ejaculate into a pad of webbing and transfer the sperm-laden pad to their palps, which are like their antennae, and then they wave them around to attract the female. I've got some sperm here. I've got some sperm for you.
Oh, God.
I used to do that to my ex-girlfriend because...
Why am I not surprised by the word X in there?
Yeah, I mean, she just wanted to have a baby so bad. It was just real easy to get her excited like that. I got some sperm, and she'd come running, and I'd be like, I'm just kidding.
You'll probably each well out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's the better for it. I mean, in fact, I take pride in believing that I helped her prepare
And
for the
think
next
what
cat
you're
she
saving on triple-ply tissues. There you are.
In some weird English way, I feel dealt with.
By the way, the credit for the videotape of that extraordinary frog waving its hands belongs to the School of Environmental Life Sciences at the University of Salford. Thank you, University of Salford. Anyway, Alan, what I'd like you to do is press your buzzer. It's not a trap. I just want you
It's going to be a trap.
Yeah, press your buzzer. What are those and how do they make that noise?
Now, this could be one of two things.
Right.
There's the one that makes the noise by inflating its thorax.
Ooh.
And the one that makes the noise by rubbing its back legs together. So, I think it was the first one.
There is actually no insect that makes a noise by rubbing its back legs together.
Ah.
It is, but do you know what the animal was, in fact, you were listening
The
to?
cicada.
Well, it's a cricket, in fact. It's been known, actually, for thousands of years that crickets don't chirp by rubbing their legs together.
Where did that come from, then?
It's just one of those weird fallacies that people cling to. I've clung to fallacies, and it's a... it's a thing... No.
Say weird fallacy.
This is all...
He said it's a weird fallacy that people cling to. He said that.
He said fallacies.
Yeah,
That means many fallacies.
Thank you. Rubbing body... Oh, God, it's getting worse. Sorry. Rubbing body parts to make sound is called stridulation. And crickets have a large vein along the bottom of each wing, covered with comb-like teeth. The chirp comes from the scraping on the top of one wing over the bottom of the other. Nothing to do with legs at
together,
all.
not their legs.
So it's their wings, not their legs. And only male crickets chirp. The females don't. 4 songs, 1 to attract a female, 2 to court a nearby female, 3 to warn off another male, and 4 to celebrate a successful mating session.
Really?
Or 4 to say to the female, why don't you say something?
Yes, quite.
Basically, it's like they're high-fiving themselves.
Yes,
after
they are.
their woo.
Yes, success.
I would just order pizza.
That's what we tend to do, but they just high-five themselves, as you say. But this, listen to this, this is the most extraordinary cricket of all. It's the snowy tree cricket. And if you count the times, because they're very susceptible to temperature, if you count the times they chirp in 14 seconds and add 40, you will get the temperature in Fahrenheit.
No way, shut up.
Yes way, absolute way. I know it sounds mad. It's from the 1897 masterpiece by Amos Dolbear, The Cricket as a Thermometer. But it is rather extraordinary, isn't it?
I'd still prefer a thermometer up my bum if I was in hospital.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
Dolbear's law, now you know. Anyway, what lives underwater and is the loudest animal in the world for its size? Greg Proops.
Oprah.
Good answer, but untrue.
Is it going to be a blue whale?
Oh, you and your so well. No, it's the largest in relation to its size. The noise it makes is quite astounding. When I tell you that its size is 2 millimetres, and it creates a sound of over 99 decibels, which is like a freight train passing by. It's an incredibly loud noise, and it's a little lake creature, actually. You know those things that almost seem to walk on water? Do you remember what they're called?
Our Lord.
You could call this the Jesus insect if you wanted. It's a water boatman. The water boatman is a beautiful little creature, and it uses the surface tension of the water, there you see, to walk along the water.
That's a pond skater, of course.
So unlike a blue whale in almost every respect.
The noise it gives out is like a passing freight train. We have a theory how they produce it, and we'd like you to try out our theory. They use their penises against their tummies.
Peni.
Peni, if you like, penises, if you wanted to speak in English. But by all means, peni, if you like. They rub their penises on their tummy and somehow create a noise of 99.2 decibels.
But that's just a theory, though, right?
Yep.
Because I put my penis against my belly, it don't make no noise.
If you really whack it, though, if you...
Steady.
It depends on if I have to get up in a hurry. Like if I got an hour.
And imagine that it's a penis, all right? You pass that to Greg.
You know, imagining is not helping, but all right.
Obviously, there's yours, Alan. No. You can have a normal one. Now, this is quite complicated, but you should have a little bowl of rosin, as in the kind of stuff that ballet dancers use to keep their shoes from sliding on the stage and string players use for their bows. Ordinary rosin. Oh, very good. Listen to that noise. Keep doing that. You're rubbing, you're trying to... It gets surprisingly loud, doesn't it?
Oh, God, yes!
I don't seem to be attracting any boatmen or women.
I'm not getting 99 decibels.
There, you see that?
This is still louder, though.
Is that yours?
But isn't that surprising?
Wow.
It was like Mars attacks.
Yeah.
Our brains will explode.
Solo.
Alan's very good at it, isn't he?
Have you given him a wand? Is that a wand?
It's excitement. It's a very interesting thing. You can pop your little ones down now. Yeah, it is surprising how loud it can be.
No females have approached Stephen. It's better if you do it under the table, then no one knows what.
Miss Allen's doing it again. You're very good at it. Alan, you have a natural talent at last.
And he's doing that with his penis.
He put the rod down hours ago.
Actually, it's 99 decibels.
About 90% of it is lost underwater, but you can still hear it above the water because it's so loud.
Now, how loud is a blue whale? Come on.
Oh, it's loud. The blue whale is capable of 188 decibels.
Ah!
Which is a lot more, but
Way
it's...
more!
But in
And its
terms
cock is enormous!
Yes. But we were talking about proportionality.
If it was able to rub its cock on its belly, it would be deafening!
They can't, you see.
You can't get...
That's why nature provides, because their flippers are
that's
too...
right, because if they could get access to their enormous penis, they would deafen the oceans.
So the water boatman makes a big noise with its mighty stridulating penis. Anyway, throughout the show tonight, there's been a species of striped animal in full view here in the studio. Let me know when you see it. But there is a striped animal somewhere in the studio in full view.
Are people stripy?
Yes.
Really?
All human beings have stripes, very regular stripes, on their skin. They were discovered in 1901 by a dermatologist, and they're called Blaschko lines. He studied 140 patients who had a particular kind of skin disease, and he drew up the map that followed the exact lines. They just don't show unless you have that particular condition.
It's almost like camouflage if we lived in pasta.
It would be. And maybe that's how it evolved. But in the cases of animals that are obviously striped, like zebras...
Tigers.
And tigers. A zebra, for example, is a zebra white...
Want a point for that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is a zebra white with black stripes or black with white stripes?
Yes.
Which?
It's black. What do you think, Greg?
Thank you for filling me out. I think, one, they smell like chocolate, so I'd say chocolate.
I would say they are black with white lines. That's what I would say.
No, they're white with black stripes.
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you, white man?
But they have black noses.
They do have black noses.
That's ridiculous.
I
That's
know.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm not playing anymore. I'm furious.
It was discovered in... Now, we don't throw our toys out of the pram. Humans are not only striped, incidentally, we're also bioluminescent. We give off light. And this, again, was a recent discovery, a Japanese discovery. In 2009, they photographed the faint glow of human bioluminescence for the first time. It's 1,000 times weaker than our eyes can detect, unfortunately. But it is there. We do give off a small amount of light.
It's a shame he's got his pants on, because I'd like to see how luminous he
Then you must get yourself a job in one of those body scanning units at Heathrow. And you'll have the most amusing time.
I got put in one of those.
Looking at people's willies as they walk through. The green bit is a mystery. I don't know whether that is the photograph and that the sensitivity of the camera is such that...
That's biohulkinescence.
That's the credible Hulk, who was slightly different.
I like the credible Hulk.
Yeah.
He's a Hulk, but I believe it.
He's vaguely orange.
Yeah, he goes a little bit green and slightly peeved.
Yeah.
I would watch the Incredible Hulk. But anyway, there you are. So it's time for the final scores. I'm sorry to say that in last place with -10 is Alan Davies. Just behind with -8 is Greg Proops. Then with -6 is David O'Doherty. With 1 plus point, Reginald D. Hunter. Well done. That's all from David, Reginald, Greg, Alan and me. Remember, snakes are more afraid of you than you are of them. Unfortunately, this is not true of mosquitoes, spiders, bears or tigers. But don't have nightmares. Good night.